All right. As you can see, it's never too early to drink in Germany. We're really excited to have you guys here. Thank you for coming, audience. Awesome. All right. Well, let's take a look at our next best of 5 with that bracket. Go ahead and tug it up there. It's going to be StarDust against VortiX. This should be a fantastic PvZ. StarDust, a DreamHack champion, coming here in the ESL. I know he's also had a tough run, or not ESL, excuse me, WCS. He's had a tough run as well, kind of like Genius, or not Genius, but Duck before him. And now here he is established as well. So it should be really good. And VortiX, one of the Duran brothers, trying to make a stand here as well.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a really good series, I think, because StarDust is known for being a Korean killer. I mean, he started that name beating the likes of Violet, Jaedong, all those guys at DreamHack when he first won his big tournament. And since then, he's always been known for his aggressive playstyle, which I'm pretty sure we're going to see today. But VortiX, on the other hand, is pegged by a lot of other professional players in the European scene as a secret favorite to win the entire thing because he is really playing some of the best StarCraft we've ever seen from him.
So like Grubby and I said before, this should be another really close series. We're looking forward to it. We put together a video to talk about each of these players. The first one up is StarDust.
My name is Sunsaki. I'm from South America. What? Hi, my name is Sunsaki. I'm from South Korea. Now I'm living in Switzerland. And then I'm 23 years old.
Oh, he's actually just going to go for a trade here, kill off wherever he can. If he kills off the anti-air, the Banshee actually goes down though.
I want to not losing. Just some people think I want to win, but I want don't losing because that means win. But sometimes tie like today. So I don't want to losing, so I just play very safety, sometimes cheating. I have many things about the prize money, but most important thing is my family. So I want to using a lot of money for my family and then some money for my life.
He's getting zealous on his third base now. There's going to be a couple of EMPs from the high ground here to maybe save us something, but he doesn't even try. GG. StarDust turns it around.
I want to say always very thank you, and then please keep cheering for all of the players, yeah, especially me.
StarDust? Yeah, sure. That guy has a really special personality. He's a fantastic player to back it up. I'm happy that they showed so many of the games from his series against Happy. You guys commentated it, but that was one of the closest matches I think I've ever seen.
That's the only tie that's ever happened in the World Championship Series, right? It was a remarkable game, but what a brilliant interview. I really like that one.
He always does. I also host for DreamHack, and there's a couple times where it's really hard, because sometimes you ask questions that are maybe a little bit awkward, maybe a little bit lame, and they just kind of go, narrow, and then they look at you like, ah! Like you don't know what to say, but StarDust always has something really cool, funny, and oftentimes informative to say. So that was StarDust. His opponent is going to be a Spaniard. It's one of the brothers. It is VortiX.
I'm Juan Moreno Duran, better known as VortiX, a StarCraft 2 player from Team Mouse Sports. I'm 20 years old and I play StarCraft.
Zealots don't want to be out there in the open, and they will absolutely get destroyed, hammered down. And here comes the army. 2 upgrades not even completed yet, but Ultralisk chewing away onto these armies. All the units that Protoss have are +3, but the sheer amount of units, the quality that they are going to be too good. And VortiX will pick up map #1 here against Baby Knight.
Well, I have like a very big family. Like we are 3 brothers, and we were like very competitive between us. Like we would play anything, like chess or whatever, every game you can imagine of. I kind of got into Warcraft 3 because my eldest brother had played a bit. And I remembered when I was little, I watched some games and I thought, oh, it was a funny game. So yeah, when I quitted World of Warcraft, me and my brother Lucifer started playing Warcraft 3. And that's how I got into pro gaming. I started playing tournaments in Spain, and from there I started to go better and better.
Oh, the buck is gone. That's bad. That's really bad. That Marauder falls very, very quickly, as do the Marines. There's really not that many units out here for Thorzen. VortiX, there you go. Yeah. GG.
My brother was like 2 years older than me. And then when I was like, oh, I probably will never be as good as him, I was like, hey, I'm 2 years behind. So, it did never stop me. Actually, it was like a motivation to see that he was doing very good. And I was like, I can do it too.
The Banelings break the bunker.
And VortiX is in.
Really good control by VortiX. He pulled those back. There you go. GG.
I'm a very impatient player. Like, I always try to attack all the time, and it's not that I don't feel confident in long games, but I don't know why I've always been impatient in my life, and I try to go for the kill all the time. So yeah, I think that's the biggest trait in my gameplay.
All right, and there you have it. It's going to be StarDust versus VortiX. I'm going to start us off by putting you right on the line. You're a pretty smart guy. People think you're one of the smartest commentators, whatever that means, if you know what I mean. Give us a little bit of a breakdown. Who's favored here, and by how much? Who do you think?
I mean, these two players, they're so good, and especially within their respective matchups they're playing. They're so equal, especially when you look at the ranking system as well. But I have to favor the Spaniard here. And the reason for that is because StarDust started and has really had a good 2013. He hit it hard when he won DreamHack Summer. But, he's been very consistent, but his style is out there. Everybody knows how he plays. VortiX is smart. VortiX is going to approach this series with one mindset: scout what he's doing, defend it, and get in a good position. And that kind of style and mindset coming into this series, it clearly is going to favor VortiX.
Yeah, absolutely. VortiX does have the advantage of knowing that he's probably, he calls himself a cheesy player, does StarDust, but it's we commentators call it aggressive. He's an aggressive, micro-oriented player. I actually asked VortiX before the series what he thought about playing StarDust, and I asked if he's played against him any number of times. And he said that, of course, he's hit him a few times in the ladder, but one thing he's noticed about StarDust is that what StarDust does kind of outside of a tournament, what he does inside of a tournament, to your point, it's similar, but it usually has a little bit of a different flavor. So every time I see this guy, StarDust, enter into a tournament, I have to wonder, what does he have prepared? A lot of people are very quick. I know that Nerchio kind of was famous for saying to him, like, all you do is 8-gate, why do you even play? But he puts his own little flavor on it going into tournaments. We saw those Immortal all-ins, those double forge play that he did against Jaedong at DreamHack. It's kind of tough to prepare for.
So even though we know his style and VortiX will as well, what specifics are we going to see from him, right? Which is the big point. And that's why scouting and information is going to be crucial for VortiX in this series.
So VortiX is going to have to get that information. But ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and introduce those commentators for today's series. It's going to be Colaris and Grubby.
Thanks very much, guys. Welcome to the caster's desk with myself and Mr. Grubby. How are you doing so far, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not too bad. We had a quick series, but now I'm anticipating a little longer one here between VortiX and StarDust. Again, I said at the previous one, I can't call it either way, and it kind of went a very, very strong way. But this one, again, can't really call too easily.
And we don't have to. The players will call it for us. They've got a lot of stuff prepared here. They're thinking about their map vetoes right now. Maybe they planned it out before. Maybe they're doing it on the spot. Gonna wait and see what maps they're going to be removing. Just one for each, of course, because it is a best of 5. Although you wouldn't say it from the first series length.
No, that was pretty rapid. We weren't expecting it to be that quick. But Aklon Waste goes away first for VortiX. Doesn't want to allow his opponent StarDust to go into, a bit of a longer game, a bit safer. And then Polar Knight is removed from StarDust. I'm really not too surprised by that veto, actually.
Yeah, it's probably the two most standard removals for each race. Zerg, I don't think they even need to think about it. Aklon Waste, bye.
Yeah.
It's the most removed map for Zerg in Season 3 of Europe.
For Zergs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because that's interesting actually that you mentioned that, because in terms of map popularity, you see a lot of Aklon Wastes.
Yeah.
But just not from Zergs.
Not from Zerg.
They're like,
Zerg's not welcome here.
No. It's
They're invited, but they don't want to come.
No,
they got
don't.
other engagements.
They do. They would rather be elsewhere. They'd rather be Belshire Vestige, the party's over there.
Oh, yeah.
Or even
I heard
Frost.
a lot about Belshire Vestige parties.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Frost? I don't know. Little chilly reception.
Oh, I knew you were going to do that somehow. But anyway, best of 5 now goes between these two guys. And these guys, in my opinion, have very clashing styles. They've already spoken about it, Jeff and Sean, as to what we see from StarDust. But a player here in the form of VortiX, he likes to be able to, go very upgrade-less, get a nice big army, maybe hold on for a bit, depending on what his opponent's doing, and react to his opponent's stance there.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about VortiX's style. Do you see VortiX as an aggressive player or a defensive player in the ZVP matchup?
It's interesting because I see him as an aggressive player when he wants to be. I know this is like the cop-out answer, but it's because he reacts so well to what his opponent's doing. It's like if the 2 bases come in, all right, he will sit back and just chill out. But if he sees that his opponent's trying to get that 3rd base, it's all guns-ho to try and deny it and do some damage there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm a little bit divided on VortiX too, because basically he is an aggressive player. Back in Wings of Liberty, when everyone was massing up Infestors and Broodlords, the Slivko style, at least here in Europe, was defend, defend, defend. Spinecrawler, Spore, get 30 Broodlords. VortiX was the guy that also, of course, used the best composition of Infestors and Broodlords. But as soon as he had 8 Broodlords, he attacked. And that set him so far apart from most of the other protagonists of the Zerg race. And I mean, if you do that with Infestor Broodlord, which is best camping, then if you have Roaches and Hydras, of course, you're also going to attack with that. But then you've got the other side. He is very good at defending all-ins.
He really is. And we saw that in the round of 16. We saw that. But now we do have our second player in this series, StarDust. Those win ratios are pretty good. And in comparison to a player like Genius, who has a very small sample size of games, StarDust, across all of the DreamHacks he's been attending, has been just dominating every single performance there. And those win ratios certainly reflect that.
Yeah, and he's kind of like holy trifecta of Protoss. He started in Korea with Brood War, then he switched to StarCraft 2, moved to US for a while, and now he's living in Europe. So if we're talking about fusion and cooking, I would say he's a fusion Protoss in StarCraft 2 playing. He knows all the different styles, and he has both very good mechanics, and he's very creative.
He really is. Our first map here will be Derelict Watcher. This, in my opinion, is a little bit of a tough one to see StarDust start on. VortiX is very, very well versed on this map. Not only going through the mid game with, something like he can play both styles. He can go, the Roach Hydra with ranged style, but he can also, something that he does like on this map, going for the Zergling heavy melee style, and then eventually switching into Ultralisks. Of course, though, if he can survive what his opponent's predicting to throw at him.
Yeah, exactly. And surviving can be pretty easy for Zerg on 3 bases, but as soon as they have to get out there on the map and get to the 4th base, it can get a little bit more difficult because the 4th base is further away. So a good harassment and multitasking by Protoss can make it difficult for the Zerg, but the Protoss's problems, they come a little sooner. The 3rd base can be a bit difficult, but it really depends a lot on the styles.
Yeah, and again, VortiX has been changing things up quite a lot during this season alone, never mind other seasons. Interestingly enough, currently VortiX is the only player to not drop a single map in Season 3 here of WCS Europe, which is a very impressive run when you consider the players he's been going up against in the form of, in the round of 16, Baby Knight and Thorzane. So, but StarDust, he'll be his tallest challenge yet, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I was saying last week, VortiX didn't have anyone who seriously challenged him yet. Those statistics, of course, they're one thing, but also like none of these games were difficult. I think now it'll be difficult.
Yeah. This is the challenge. This is the challenge. Can VortiX rise to it? As we have VortiX and StarDust facing off in a second best of 5 of today. And oh boy, is it going to be a good one. As we have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner our Red Zerg, representing Maus and Spain. Give it up for VortiX. And up to the top right-hand corner here are Blue Protoss, representing My Insanity as well as Korea. Give it up for StarDust. There was a really excited yelp there from someone. That was pretty cool.
I feel that excited too, but it wouldn't be professional if I let out a yelp like that now.
Probably not, no.
But
sorry.
I want to.
You want to?
No, I won't.
Oh, okay.
All right, abstain. So, the first decisions have been made by both players. And for VortiX, it's a decision not to go for a 6 or a 10 pool. And for StarDust, it's going to be very likely a gateway expansion.
I like the option of a gateway expansion here because VortiX is the kind of guy that, as you just previously mentioned, can sometimes go for earlier pulls just to be like, well, I'm going to throw this in and see how you're going to react to it. And if that were to occur, gateway opening, not too bad against that.
Yeah. VortiX did do a little bit of that 10 pool, 10 gas build before, where you get very early speed upgrade for your Zerglings. Finishes just before the 5-minute mark, and you try to swarm the opponent with lots of Zerglings. But it's a risky build, and you don't generally want to start off with that in the first game, because everyone is still very awake they're very alert. People are going to be scouting. They're going to be, seeing what you're doing. They want to get a feel of what you're doing. So actually, StarDust is not scouting yet and not building anything at the ramp. So that could be a potent strategy against him this game. But how would VortiX have known?
Yeah, indeed. StarDust is just playing his own little game in his own little corner of the world, having seen nothing from VortiX thus far. Meanwhile, VortiX, he's playing his own game as well, sending out that Overlord, which is obviously so normal, to see what eventually is going on, and he'll spot it in just a little bit and be fine.
Yeah. It's a hatchery first for VortiX into gas. And oh no, sorry, it's a spawning pool first. Yeah, spawning pool with a hatchery and gas. So what VortiX is going to be doing is he's played a safe style, went for a spawning pool early. He's going to get maybe 2 to 4 Zerglings out, and he's going to get an early speedling. So that means that his third base won't be quite as early. That's going to basically bring rise to any number of possibilities for him. He can go for a very Zergling heavy, 2-base style, go to lair even on 2-base, or he can take a roughly a 6 minute and 15 seconds third base. So for StarDust, there isn't as much pressure to do an early aggression on VortiX, and he's gonna see that probably pretty soon with the probe. So he will start to formulate his plan. Is he gonna get a third Nexus, Stargate, Twilight Council, Robo? We're gonna have to wait and see.
StarDust has a lot of options available to him. Normally he would be the aggressor, but still there is the option to go for macro properly if he wants to. We've seen StarDust do play a few macro games out and perform very well, but it's really that aggression that shines through for him. And VortiX is going to be looking for that, a lot of looking for that. Normally we see VortiX's Overlords get in there just the right time once tech goes down. He knows the timings, and the Stargate's already on the way, and the Overlord is already en route to spot it.
Yeah, and of course StarDust is completely okay with that. When you're building a Stargate in the wall, you can't say, I'm gonna make a plan to protect this from being scouted. I hope you don't scout the front of my base, which leads to every other path in my base. No, it's gonna get spotted. It got spotted, and he saw actually a Stargate and a Forge. So it's not the 3 gateway with a Stargate or the other way around, a Stargate and then +2 gates. It's with a Forge. So what that means is that the only thing VortiX needs to worry about for the next 2 minutes is just getting spore crawlers in about a minute or so.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to worry about zealot pressure, so he can make a lot of drones, get some spore crawlers, get some queens, and just follow his plan. He's not going to be under any threat, so he's going to play, I think, very comfortably.
Exactly, and with that third base going down, he's feeling a little bit more comfortable. And I feel that, going into this series for StarDust, as much as StarDust normally is known as the aggressor, I actually think that he feels this game out and tries to play a macro game. Because doing anything else, VortiX will be anticipating something like that, but at the same time, can he go into a macro game against VortiX? Because VortiX is a scary guy, and these Zerglings, well, one sneaks through.
And the Sentry will barely survive.
Ooh, that was close. He built that gateway there. A little bit of scared position there for StarDust.
Yeah, and it looks like VortiX just makes 8 to 10 links just to make him use that force field, which means less force field a little bit later, and also no hallucination scout. But we've got Phoenix coming out here, and I think you're right. I think StarDust is starting with the Phoenix build in game 1, so that he can get a feel for what his opponent is playing. Because imagine, you go very extremely in one direction, you're doing this build, and suddenly you realize, hey, actually your daily shape, not very good.
Yeah.
Why did I give you so much time?
Exactly.
So he's kind of trying to feel out VortiX's daily shape right now. And it's got to be mentioned, that little Zergling pressure, I think StarDust messed up his macro during that. He had a very big probe cut, because he was supply blocked for 25 seconds.
That's a bit brutal there at the earlier stages. That Spot Crawler is in range of the Phoenix, so VortiX covering himself well, but StarDust trying to find little holes where he can. Only one drone died so far, but there was also an Overlord killed during all of that. I think he's killed a few more units in total, so he's sitting around 750 resources lost, and killing off a few more as well. So StarDust not doing too badly with this, catching all those transferring drones. Not really nice.
Yeah, but I do have to think of legendary German player Mondragon. Comes from Brood War, played a bit of StarCraft 2. His counter sheet against Phoenixes: drones, hatcheries, queens, and roaches.
Yeah.
It's like just only drones and queens and hatches, and then eventually roaches. Even though they can't shoot up, it doesn't seem to make sense. But when you make enough stuff, you can afford to lose 10 drones. You just made 20 to 30 drones anyway.
Big nostalgia hit, man. That was TSL from a long time ago. Good stuff. Anyway, 64 workers, 248 right now, with VortiX still in the lead, catching some more of those transferring workers, but can't really do too much. And now the unit production begins here for VortiX. And how well can StarDust deal with that second Stargate already going down here for him?
Now, he's still making Phoenixes. He went up to 7 already, and he's made a second Stargate. He's not going to keep making double Stargate Phoenixes, right? I think he's going to switch to Void Rays.
If he did keep making Phoenix, it would be very Munzik style.
Oh,
he
wow.
is going to.
Wow.
We've seen this in the... If he went for a third Stargate, then the alarm bells would certainly be ringing there, because this can actually hold up a lot. He's just continuing Phoenix production.
Yep, and he has that the Twilight Council finished. So he's going to be adding either Archons or Charge or both. I'll be very surprised if he makes Blink. Blink Stalkers and Phoenixes. Wow, what are you doing, man?
This is a little bit of a variation from what we saw in the past from Munzik, so I don't want to say that it's exactly the same.
Myungsik went for a very fast 3 Nexus off of 1 gate and then added 3 Stargate.
Yeah, there was that. And then, you know, with that, obviously there's the opportunity to pick up a lot of this. I mean, he's already doing quite a good job with these. Force fielding that out. Now these roaches really can't do too much. He sees the second Stargate though. He gets information about kind of what his opponent's doing. The roaches are continuing to try and break through. And this is kind of like the Mondragon style of like, you've got a lot of Phoenix, you don't have enough to pick anything up. And now my roaches, you have no gateway units to kill this off.
Oh my god, and he ran out of energy.
Uh-oh.
He can kill 1 roach every 5 seconds, but that's about it. And I think there's a lot more than 1 roach here.
He has no energy. No energy left on these Phoenix. The roaches are absolutely running amok. The Zealots are coming back to deal with this. And slowly he's picking these roaches off. But they're doing so much damage in the process.
Yeah, now they're starting to kill probes. Now the damage is starting to get significant, and he's gonna run in there. Meantime, he's saving up Hydralisk. He's making a nice creep path towards the middle of the map. And every probe kill is gonna be very, very important here. All of these roaches are gonna die.
But they're going to get so many probes.
Exactly.
So many probes. 13 have already gone down. The Zealots coming back to try and clean this up as well. But taking that big a hit to your economy when your opponent's on 73 drones against 42, that's big.
Yeah, and roaches are almost free when you have that many drones. Like, they are meant to die. You don't want to go into the late game 200 supply of roaches. You want to use them for something. And it's okay to have them not be cost efficient purely by cost, because you have a better income.
And VortiX might end up just going full out balls to the wall Hydras. So he's going to mix some Zerglings in as well here against these Zealots. Did they get +1 in the end?
Let's see, his upgrades.
They did, yeah. So there is that out for StarDust. But this follow-up attack, how do you deal with this with Phoenix? Sure, against Hydras in small numbers, these Phoenix would be great. But they're going to disintegrate very quickly. He's going to pick up a lot, or try to at least.
I think this might be a little bit of a mistake by VortiX to go this soon. I would have liked to see him wait a little bit longer. He just killed a lot of workers, so the advantage that he would have in a minute would be bigger than it is right now. There's a small chance that he loses them all.
He's got 7 Zealots out and 14 Phoenix to deal with 25 Hydras now knocking on his third base.
Okay.
So charge is on the way. The third base is going to go down. VortiX with a very strong move towards this location, with Zerglings reinforcing and the Spire going down behind this. This is looking bad for StarDust.
Yeah, actually VortiX judged the situation very well, even though he doesn't have full vision. This was not a mistake at all. It's a very good move. And yeah, he has way too much actually.
And I'm just going to engage here as those Phoenix do try and pick up what they can, but at the same time they are dying off quite quickly as well. Even the Zerglings holding the Zealots at bay, because it's just not enough here for StarDust. And VortiX in game number 1 is actually just going to crush through this play. GG.
Yeah.
VortiX looking strong in game number 1, but at the same time, we have to go back to what StarDust did that wasn't that common a build.
Yeah, and he made the Twilight Council, but it literally made no difference except the cost that he spent on it.
Yeah.
His charge was 80% done at the end of the game. He didn't have +2, he didn't start a Templar Archives or Dark Shrine, so that part didn't help. And you could say that VortiX just attacked him too soon.
He's yeah, well, there you go. That's StarDust for you.
Maybe he heard me. I don't know.
Well, I think, you know, he looks back on that game and he's like, nah, that was a bit strange. And I think now this is where in game number 2 he kind of goes back to a bit more of his norm.
It's possible. Yeah, because this build is something that we haven't seen yet from StarDust. Yeah. So this was meant to be a build that surprises and maybe gets an advantage and maybe counters something that VortiX was known to be doing. But that's 2 points for VortiX. Not only did he take that game, but he took it against something that he hadn't necessarily seen before or had been expecting. Yeah, now StarDust might be going back, as you said, to his comfort zone. We're going to have to wait and see. That was a hard map though for StarDust. So maybe he just said, this might work if this, and this happens. But now that it hasn't, that's okay. I got my second map coming up.
Yeah, it's like you feel that you're at a disadvantage on the map. Instead of going for what would be your standard aggression, you try something a little bit wacky, a little bit out of the norm. Take the risk and see if it works.
Do you remember, well, I think everyone remembers, like, there's this player in StarCraft 2 called Parting.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Maybe some people know him. He had this build, I guess he still has it. An Immortal, and you make 3 sentries, 3 Immortals, about 8 to 12 sentries, and you just attack the Zerg at around the 10-minute mark. And he was doing it so well that he was winning game after game after game with it in Wings of Liberty, and as well in the current expansion set, Heart of the Swarm. And he had like an immaculate record with it. Now you could imagine that if you were to play it on a map where it's not good, that he doesn't do it. He didn't do it all the time.
No.
Almost, but you could imagine that you would like to keep a 100% win rate, never play it in unfavorable conditions, so that the opponent builds up the strategy in their head. They can really say, this strategy never lost. They've never seen any evidence to the contrary. So in this way, you can keep your best builds scary. Is that what StarDust was doing now? Don't do it on this map, because, to be honest, this map not going to be as good for force field-based strategies, because it's so open.
Exactly.
So maybe StarDust said, I want to keep my best strats really scary.
And those best strats could certainly come to play here on Yonsu, a map where there is a lot of room for someone like StarDust to be aggressive. Very narrow paths, a lot of places to actually force field off. The third base, if you attack from the low ground, isn't necessarily the easiest thing to break as a Protoss, but if you attack from the high ground, you do have certain opportunities to actually pressure through with good force field placement if StarDust wants to do something like that. So VortiX is going to be on his toes here in game number 2.
Yeah, definitely. StarDust planning his next move. There's a lot to think about. All that practice over the last weeks, months that you've been doing is coming together in this one series. Lose it and you're out.
And there's a lot on the line. For both of these players currently sitting at, if you would talk about StarDust, currently 30th in WCS ranking, and then we have VortiX at 35th in WCS ranking. So very, very close between these two. And if you do move on past this round, you start gaining a lot of points. And then obviously you guarantee yourself at the finals, the Season 3 finals, which is big, big points, which could propel you very, very far indeed.
And it's going to be in Canada. One of the first few esports tournaments in Canada for StarCraft 2. Very exciting. I bet these players would love to go there.
All right, well, speaking of exciting, let's get into game number 2 here between these two players. VortiX currently 1 game up here against StarDust. In this best of 5 over, he has spawning up to the top right-hand corner, Red Zerg, representing Maus as well as Spain. Give it up for VortiX. Down to the bottom left-hand corner, our blue Protoss, representing My Insanity as well as Korea. Give it up for MYI StarDust. Sounded Geordie all of a sudden. What? YI, never mind, it's an English thing.
Okay.
All right.
I have a lot to learn about English slang.
It's all our accents. There's a lot of them across England, so maybe you don't want to learn about them. I don't know. Anyway, so Yonsu, our map where we could see StarDust be very aggressive, but likewise, VortiX, again, he's going to be looking out for it.
Yeah.
Definitely is.
Now, interestingly, StarDust, a lot of his builds that made him win that DreamHack that he did, they were revolving around Forge Fast Expand.
Yes.
So either a Nexus and then a Forge, or a Forge and then a Nexus. He comes into this with a whole new methodology. So it could be that he's trying to make VortiX uncomfortable. But of course, as a Zerg player who plays a lot of ladder, as VortiX does, he's gonna meet any number of Gateway expansion builds and Forge Fast expansion builds. So if he didn't over-concentrate on what he thought, StarDust is gonna do this one thing and this one thing only, then he's gonna be quite alright. And so far he looks quite alright.
And Control looking more handsome than a version of Leonardo DiCaprio. He's certainly rocking it
and
today.
And more buff.
Yeah, more buff as well.
Yeah.
It's that's a scary thought, actually.
Yeah.
In Control, he's a big fella. He's
Control
doing
DiCaprio.
All right. In Control DiCaprio.
Leonardo in Control. Okay. Anyway.
He's gonna kill us later.
Yeah. Leonardo would never do that.
Oh no, he wouldn't. He's a tame fella. Anyway, third base going down before spawning pool. Oh, VortiX.
Oh, you VortiX.
Oh, hello.
A little bit of drone mess up there. That can really get into your head sometimes.
Yes, it can.
It's like, oh no, this is one of those games where my control isn't perfect. I just send all my drones to one patch. It sucks.
It's really annoying.
Yeah, just try to shrug it off. Anyway, VortiX did this in game 2 against Wellmu, I want to say.
I think so.
Yeah, in game 1 he did normal build, pool hatch on Belcher Vestige. And then the second map on Derelict Watcher, he went triple hatch before pool, which VortiX doesn't do. No, VortiX, you don't do this build, but you're doing it again.
And you know what's interesting about this is that VortiX, once he establishes himself on these 3 bases, if StarDust doesn't put on some early pressure for whatever reason, normally VortiX sits at a very, very strong economy once something like, for example, a 2-base play would come along from a player like StarDust. So it gives him a strong wealth of shutting something like that down, and I think VortiX has actually played this out quite smartly.
Also, the way that he doesn't do it in the first map, so that once again the opponent doesn't know, are you that kind of guy who takes really illicit advantages, and then but I can't do anything against it, so I guess it is legit. Because really, there's no downside to opening like this if the opponent doesn't proxy gate or cannon rush you.
Yeah. It's certainly a tough one, and now that probe sees that this hatchery is finished at this particular moment in time and starts zapping away at it in annoyance. That probe, he's trying to do what he can. Second probe being sent out.
That is interesting. Oh, he's gonna go for a quick third Nexus. Wow, very quick. Very quick. This is a new reaction from Protoss players across the board.
But the Overlord's gonna see it very quickly.
It's maybe it's okay. I don't know if it's gonna be okay.
This is gonna be difficult because if speed finishes and he just makes a big round of Zerglings now, surely couldn't he just kind of attack it?
I think so. And there's no Forge.
Yeah.
There we go with the Forge. It's gonna finish in 45 seconds.
And there's 8 Zerglings in production already here. StarDust, he could have a little bit of problems on his hands if he's not careful. 12 Zerglings. This is a big push here from VortiX to say, you're not gonna get away with that.
Yeah. We've got 18 Zerglings coming. That's already too much for what StarDust has, but Nexus is gonna finish. Oh, more Zerglings. Yeah, of course, he's seen it with the Overlord. Why would he make anything but Zerglings?
Exactly. Speed just finishes as well. They're gonna be over there so quickly. What units does he have? He has 3 sentries.
So he's gonna get Photon Overcharge. He will have 1. He's got his natural walled off, so he can Photon Overcharge his 3rd.
Wait.
But it will probably still die.
Yeah, I don't even think the Photon Overcharge is gonna be able to kill off this amount of Zerglings before
it
he
will
can
be
actually
wasted.
do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be half-life as soon as the Nexus finishes.
Ah, this is bad for StarDust. Forces the cancellation. Very good move here by VortiX reading into the game and tries to push forwards with the Zerglings because why not, you know, see what you can do there, but can't do anything with them just yet. 10 drones in production for VortiX behind this.
Can you do this, we asked, with this 5-minute, 15-second third Nexus? And I guess against a vigilant and well-versed opponent, you can't.
No, certainly not. The Zergling's going to poke forwards again. Force, at least a force field out there. Oh, those 2 Zerglings get through as well. And the Overlord's seen pretty much everything. He saw the Twilight Council at the front as well.
There is a person in our scene who has, who's pretty interesting. Oh, look, this is very nice.
Oh, that's
kills
nice.
A lot of Zerglings.
Yeah, very good wraparound there. Killing off all of these Zerglings. It's a, you know, a consolidationary prize for what's actually happened. And the Zergling's getting in to see the Robo as well. So he's seen, again, pretty much everything that his opponent is up to right now. Can VortiX use that information and make sure that he's defended if his opponent's going to go for something, or try and spot out this third again?
Yeah, what does he know about really what StarDust is doing? Yeah, he saw the Twilight Council and the Robo. Yeah, you're right. He saw everything, but the Overlord did too. So the Zergling loss, no matter what, that was a bit of a loss. So he has to reproduce those now, making 24 links again. And if he hadn't lost the links, this third wouldn't be as easy for StarDust. But still, VortiX's drone count looking really, really healthy. Going to be 61 soon.
I still don't think he has enough units to actually hold that third.
Yeah, probably
if the Zerglings that he's just produced now run over there and try and do something against it.
Yeah, and also StarDust is warping in Stalkers. And I get why he's doing it. He wants to get it going with his Blink upgrade, but it's too soon. Like, Zealots will be a lot more useful now.
Oh, and the rocks are still not down here, so these Zerglings have a much easier time of actually getting to this third base. They're going to start working on it. He's left some Zerglings there to see exactly when his opponent was coming along, but he's going to force the cancellation again.
Oh, very nice move now for VortiX. Clappity clap. Clap for VortiX, I would say. I mean,
there you go. You got your response.
That was a pity clap. Anyway, yeah, that was a really nice move by VortiX, and that's 2 Nexuses lost. That's twice 100 minerals lost, but much more than that. It's the implied income, and it's the opportunity cost loss. for Stardust. Now Stardust is gonna do what? Go into some kind of blink all in?
I think so, and because of the position he's in, because this has been set back a little bit here.
Ah, it's open.
Oh no! Oh, it's all going wrong for Stardust. VortiX separates up the Zerglings as well to do as much damage as possible in the mineral line of the natural and the main, and he has to go. He has to do something.
Wow.
But Pathogen Glance is just about to finish. If he gets some Infestors out with this as well.
Yeah, he can make 2 Infestors soon. These Lings are doing so much.
Oh, how many workers? He's lost 9 workers during all of this.
Blink finishes.
Can he do this? He's going to have +2 weapons, and that's it. Tries to warp in some units here, but VortiX is already on top of it.
So right now, Stardust maybe could beat VorTix's standing army. I would say maybe. With good force field. He's got 5 sentries. He's going up against roaches. There's no burrow, but there's Infestors coming out. And Galaris, he's attacking the natural. He's attacking the natural, and the main base has a perfect view on all those stalkers down there.
I think he blinks in and brings the sentries up.
Oh, yes.
I think he does.
Yes.
If he goes for this could do a lot of damage. Because now he's sealing off the main. There's not that many roaches there to actually contest this. Picks up the sentries as well, making sure that they're alive. This is a really good move here by Stardust, but at the same time, VortiX is going to be making a very strong army once an engagement comes, if it ever comes.
Now Stardust needs to make cannons at his natural, because VortiX, his best bet is going to be a counterattack. But this is a very powerful move from Stardust, and it could look to propel him back into this game.
God, what a game we have here in game number 2. VortiX going for the full counterattack, and there's not going to be anything to actually stop that from happening. So he's going to be taking a lot of damage. Full base trade initiated. Stardust trying to go for the dark shrine.
There's a fight at the natural.
There is indeed. That's good fungal on a lot of these stalkers, but at the same time, there's not enough damage for them to constantly chain or even do damage with roaches. How many roaches does he? He has only 16 roaches. His army is not that big here for VortiX.
He's got 1-1 upgrades on his Zerglings, and he's got 28, 14 more coming, 42 Lings. Some are dying here, and he's using them bit by bit. He's killing all the sentries though, and that's good.
That's very, very good. There's not that many stalkers actually left over here. All of those are going to die. There's a lot more in the main. This actually wrap around with the fungal, killing those off. VortiX is in a very good position right now.
Yeah, there was a very crucial double fungal growth on those stalkers with the 1-1 Lings tearing at them.
The Dark Shrine. Does he see the Dark Shrine? He does see it. He sees it at the back.
But does he really do it?
It could be a pylon. Did he click on it? These stalkers are still doing some work.
And Galaris, there's only 41 drones left. The lair tech died. There are exactly 0 spore crawlers on the map.
The layer tech died. He's not going to have any over. He has 1 overseer. It's out on the field. But with that many stalkers out on the field as well, if he actually commits to that, it's over at the natural. Oh, it's so far away.
And this warp prism is right here. It can warp in 1 DT. 1 DT.
1 DT.
He has enough gas for 1 DT. And there it goes.
There it is. The 1 DT to rule them all.
And the Overseer's at Stardust Natural. So it's too far away.
Good fungal, killing off some more of these stalkers. We still have 15 stalkers out on the field, though. This one Overseer, VortiX, does he know about it? Another DT is swiping away at those roaches at the south.
Okay, there we go. 2 spore crawlers being made. 4 spore crawlers being made. Lair started. Could this be a fairy tale comeback from Stardust?
Spore crawlers.
1 DT has a big job of whack-a-mole to kill all those spores.
Yeah, he really does. These roaches kind of be dying off at the front. Okay, we have 29 probes to 30 drones. All the drone roaches are coming back. He has 25 roaches. If he shuts down these Dark Templars, his standing army is so much better than Stardust's.
Yeah, but Stardust is re-establishing his natural. He still has a mothership core. If his natural comes up, we're suddenly looking at a 2 versus 2 base situation with superior upgrades for Stardust and a superior tech advantage. He's got Blink and DT against just Ling Roach, vanilla with no burrow. And man, Stardust is really finding a way, the best way to stay in this game. And VortiX, what looked like an easy game, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna fungal your Blink, but suddenly...
Yeah, this is an ambitious thought, but I wonder if Stardust was like, well, maybe these thirds are going to get cancelled, and maybe I have to prepare something behind that, because otherwise I have no opportunity to actually kill him. But now he's doing a good job of fighting back. But again, VortiX's army is strong, and Overseer's coming out is going to put a big shutdown on those Dark Templar on the map.
I think Stardust is in a small lead here, actually. 2 versus 2 base. His natural still has a lot of income. He's making Immortals and Sentries, and well, he doesn't have enough Sentries to hold this attack, maybe.
Immortals would be so good.
They're very good right now, yeah.
Yeah.
But VortiX making Infestation Pit, and he has quite a bit of gas. He can make some Infestors.
Ooh.
2,200 gas.
You're right.
He can make 11 Infestors if he has the minerals for it.
If he ends up doing that, those are going to be big, big game changers. Huge game
Oh my God,
changers.
fights at the natural of StarDust at the same time.
Oh, will he be able to get those immortals? He absolutely needs to kill those. One of them is going to be focused down. Photon overcharges here as well to try and help out against these roaches. One immortal does fall, but he loses a lot of roaches in the process.
Yeah, he killed that one sentry so that he didn't get locked in there.
For that fight, he lost like 11 roaches. He's down to 11 now with only 18 lings as well. He absolutely needs this infestation pit to finish very quickly.
Yeah. Wow. And the worker count is stabilizing. It's 43 for VortiX and 37 for StarDust. That's better for StarDust. Because 2 versus 2 base is usually good for Protoss. Now, StarDust needs sentries as much as VortiX needs infestors.
I'm wondering, though, how easy is it going to be for StarDust to play this out against an opponent that's establishing an extra base?
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be hard for StarDust to get an extra base if it continues going longer.
Yeah, and the thing about these infestors, they're only 100 minerals each. He's got plenty of gas, and he just keeps making an infestor with every 100 minerals he gets. Fungal is fantastic against Sentry and Stalker, but also he can make infested Terrans. Now, they don't have upgrades anymore like they used to, but still, infested Terrans is a free army which doesn't cost any resources, and that's very important in these low resource situations.
Yeah, it really is. And Fungal's going to come along to try and lock down this, and whoop, well, there we go. So it does lock that down with some infested Terrans as well to kill that off. So that's going to shut down a little bit of StarDust's ability to, you know, try and harass and keep his opponent pinned back. Now with this third base going down, those infestors are going to be so good. 8 more are on the way.
Anytime I looked at the production tab, I saw 10 infestors being produced.
Oh dear.
Only now he's running dry of
He's going to
gas.
have 20 infestors.
Oh my God.
He's going to have 20. Do you know how many Fungals that is? Do you know how many infested Terrans that is?
a lot.
A lot. That's a lot, guys.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to kill the rocks. That's going to be his defense for now. But those will dissipate very, very quickly as he's setting himself up to go up the ramp at the natural.
Wobble, 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 wobble. Infestors coming in.
That's a lot of infestors, guys. These force fields need to be really good. At the same time, fungal growth, infested Terrans do get lobbed down. This army is going to be locked in place, and it is going to die off. It's trying to be sealed in with the infested Terrans at the back as well, locking everything down. Zergling is going to town in the natural, and with the army dying off, VortiX takes a massive supply lead.
Try to count them, Kalaris. How many infested Terrans was it?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Just
I've
units tab. Okay.
Units tab. Perfect.
Oh, wow. VortiX.
Oh.
Going for the 2-0.
2-0 here against StarDust, killing off this Nexus, and no more units left for StarDust. VortiX is absolutely on the warpath. Infestors saving his bacon here in this second game.
Yeah. Wow.
GG, guys. VortiX takes a 2-0 lead in this best of 5. Could we see another 3-0 clean sweep here in the round of 8?
It is possible, Kalaris.
It's WCS career all over again.
It's very possible. Wow. That would be such a quick day, so unexpected. Saw all these matchups and thought, wow, each match is going to be really close. But then this happens. Oh my God.
Okay, there's no smiles now. He knows it's game time.
This is a really difficult position for StarDust. Now, he has been in this situation before, I do believe.
Yes, he has, and he's recovered from it before as well.
Exactly.
Here are the final moments of game number 2 between VortiX and StarDust. As
this is a guy that beat Jadong.
Yeah.
I mean, he can kill people in the game.
he can.
Yeah.
He can kill people in StarCraft 2. You are correct.
Now, is he going to go back to Forge Fast Expansion?
There's so much concern on his face here. So much concern. He does not want to lose this. Not only doesn't want to lose this in general, but certainly doesn't want to lose this on a clean sweep.
But VortiX right now, he's thinking of his family. He's thinking of his brother Lucifron, who got to top 8 before, and he got to top 8 before, but they haven't been in the top 4 yet.
Do you know what's going through his mind?
What is going through his mind?
It's early pull time.
It's really?
I think so.
I don't know.
I think that might be going through in his mind.
I don't know. That would be almost a weak move with how strong he's been playing so far.
I would agree. But at the same time, he has 2 games to hand.
Yeah, but if you give away 1...
The momentum swings.
2 minus 1.
Yes.
You've got only 2 games left.
We keep doing
and
this
only
math
one
on air.
Yeah, then it's only a bit 2-1, and then if you lose 2, you're out. And
Wow.
yeah. And okay, VortiX, what I'm thinking really right now, is he thinking, yeah, 2-0, it's going well? Or is he thinking, that game 2 was more difficult than I anticipated 10 minutes into the game? That was dangerous.
Yeah.
I gotta be on my toes. How is his mentality 2-0, that you've got the most crucial mentality things happening.
I'm pretty sure in my mind that game number 2 for VortiX there was all around anticipating some 2-base push from his opponent. I'm pretty sure. He always goes to this Infestor play once he feels that his opponent's going to be going for something like that, especially after seeing the Twilight Council. He loves his Infestors against Blink Stalkers.
Yeah.
Absolutely loves them. He did that in the round of 16, shut it down so convincingly on Belshire Vestige. Was it against Wellmoon? It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, well, now we have to get into game number 3 here to see if VortiX can take the 3-0 clean sweep, or if we see StarDust bring it back and start recovering from the position he's in.
Actually, I think it was Baby Knight.
Oh yeah, it must be.
Okay, nice save.
Well,
I got you back.
okay, thank you very much. Okay, spawning up to the top left-hand corner here of Frost as we have our red Zerg representing Mouse Sports and Spain. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mouse VortiX. And spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner are blue Protoss, representing My Insanity as well as Korea. Give it up for StarDust.
The pressure is on, Kalaris.
It is. It's really on. This is scary.
It's also on us for making this short day a long day.
Yes.
So much pressure.
We'll just keep casting as the games finish. It's fine. We'll cast the menu screen. It'll be fine.
So StarDust, once more, with an early gateway. Not doing his Forge Fast expansion. Not saying, man, I'm down 0-2. I'm going to go Immortal all in and cross my fingers. What does he have planned this game? Is he going to be more aggressive? We've seen Stargate opening in game 1. A very low aggression opening. Like, I'm going to sit back, do a little bit of poking with Phoenixes, kill some drones, but it's really not a heavy hitting type of thing. Not what we're used to from StarDust, who before the 12-minute mark always attacks really, really hard.
Yeah.
In all of his games where he has been performing really successfully in tournaments.
I'm trying to wrap my mind around what StarDust is going to do here in game number 3. He's so up against the wall, so up against it. And for a DreamHack champion, a constant DreamHack high finisher, every single DreamHack he attends, to come into WCS Europe in the round of 8, having tried so hard to qualify for this tournament, and go down 2 games in a best of 5.
Nerve-wracking. Now,
So much.
VortiX is a player who has traditionally performed very well in WCS events. Specifically WCS, I don't mean the satellite events. He hasn't gone to necessarily that many of those. 2012, WCS started. Blizzard announced it, and a lot of prize money was being injected in the scene, and WCS Europe, as we know now, was a great success in that year, and VortiX got 2nd place, finishing behind Stefano. Since that time, I don't think he got a lot of very high top finishes. He got, I think he got a 2nd place at IEM.
VortiX, you mean?
Yeah. Or 3rd place. I think he got a 2nd place at the IEM in Germany at the CeBIT or the Gamescom. But
Cologne.
Yeah.
I think
that was still in Wings of Liberty, but in
Yeah.
Heart of the Swarm, he has gotten a top 8 at WCS last season.
yes.
So for him to go into top 4 here and go to Canada would be legendary. It would be huge for him.
And his form right now, I mean, look what he's doing. He hasn't dropped a map all season yet. He has not dropped a single map.
Yeah.
So he's currently sits at like 10 map wins or something crazy, and
10 map wins this season.
yeah,
Very impressive.
against 0 losses.
Now, StarDust. All eyes are going to be on him. Because VortiX, he'll do his thing. If you don't attack him, he'll make drones. If you attack him, he'll make roaches and lynx. Now, I agree with you, Gwyn Blyde SC2. Well, I don't agree with that. I'm not a PvZ fan. I'm a big PvZ fan. But that game was just amazing, yes.
All right, StarDust is changing things up. He's going for 4-gate pressure. How much of this does VortiX know about? Right now, not a whole lot. He's sending in his overlords, but they're going to be a little bit later to actually spot this.
Oh my god, is he going outside the... This is very important to stay outside the vision.
Very.
VortiX is relying on Overlord scouting. He didn't make 3rd and 4th Zergling, and his Overlord arrives late. Oh, he went through the vision.
He
This
knows.
is crucial time for VortiX to prepare for this.
Zergling's already on one way. Spinecrawler goes down at this third base as well. VortiX has an opportunity here to hold this off. Dude, I can feel this series like in the pit of my stomach. I'm so
Yeah.
invested in it.
One Spinecrawler coming, Zergling's coming. The first gas is coming earlier than usual, a little bit earlier.
This is a really close forward pylon. He absolutely needs a lot of Zerglings out. He doesn't have Zergling speed, right?
No.
The whole time he has not had the gas to go for Zergling speed. Now gases are going down, but this is kind of late. The Roach Horn goes down as well, but this isn't going to be in time to deal with this.
I think this is going to be really powerful for StarDust.
Yeah.
He's got 5 Zealots on the field, soon 4 more, and VortiX doesn't have Roaches or speed. So he has to make a lot of slow links, which against Time Warp aren't going to be very good.
They really aren't here. Whoa, actually
Wow.
great time warp there, sealing off these queens. They would be very useful against this army if they were able to stay alive, but, well, one does get out there with the help of those Zerglings, but that's so many Zealots doing damage, almost killing off the Spinecrawler. No transfuses available, it goes down so fast.
Yeah, more Zealots are coming in. The Queen is going down, which leaves
Oh.
VortiX with just 1 Queen remaining.
Army supplies 24 to 15 here. 1 Roach in production. VortiX needs more than that. And right now, he was lava starved for quite a bit of that. All the injections now just going off here, trying to get those Roaches out where he can. But the Roaches are already doing a good job over at this third base.
There goes the last Queen that
Zealots.
VortiX has. No more Queens left, and he's got 12 larvae right now. All the injects came. These 12 larvae are gonna have to do it for him. Can he make enough Roaches to defend here? I don't know. There's a lot of Stalkers, there's another Time Warp, there's a lot of Zealots.
He needs to get all those Roaches together as well. He loses 2 in the attempt to get them all together. And I think he will end up holding his natural, but the third base is completely forfeit. There's no way.
Yeah, well said. That one is going to die, and it's important to be said here. StarDust actually has more workers than VortiX right now. He has 35 probes against 32 drones. Equal bases. Bigger standing army for StarDust. Double what VortiX has. Is there anything that is going in the advantage of VortiX? I don't think so. Not this game.
No, he's even supply blocked here, which is going to force a lot of Roaches to not be made for a long time. He's got 2 more on the way, yes, but he's still waiting for those 2 Overlords to finish. Good time warp here, but a nice attempt at trying to skirt around it with those Roaches, knowing they certainly just couldn't have retreated directly.
Now those Roaches need to stay on creep. They are better micro potential on creep. Another Overlord goes down. Only now Speedling is starting. VortiX overstretched himself, going for 3 hatcheries without any idea of what the opponent is doing, and paid the price for it. 4 gate against no gas. 3 hatch is very strong.
And a very good follow-up here by StarDust as well, going for the Stargate. And, you know, even if he mixes just in Void Rays from this point on, he knows his opponent's his opponent's economy is crippled.
Yeah.
Very, very crippled at this point. So affording any transition out of this, even if the Stalkers don't do the job, he has great follow-ups behind it.
Yeah, I mean, those Void Rays or even Phoenixes can give him a lot of map control. Very nice micro there with the Stalkers, not losing that many. Actually not losing any yet in that particular case. There goes down 1, but he's getting a lot of Roaches in exchange.
And there you go, GG guys. Yeah. StarDust is able to take the first map in this series and the first victory of VortiX in WCS Season 3. So that's the comeback start for StarDust. That is the start of it.
The start of it. 1-2. Taking a short break to rally himself, getting a little bit of important self-confidence here. And VortiX looking at defeat the first time in his whole Season 3 WCS Europe run. Can he handle it? Will he play a little bit safer in the next game?
StarDust going to get a drink, and with that, the crowd gives him an applause.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough coming back from that 0-2 to take the first map. The road looks so long. You're like, oh my god, I need to win 3 in a row. But you can't think of that. You got to take it 1 by 1. I feel like that's what StarDust was doing. And now we can go into game 4 with a little bit lighter heart.
Yes. He knows that the road is not as long.
Yeah.
And that is very, very important. It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Oh, wow. So deep. So deep.
He's a little bit more smiles now after that victory because he feels a little bit more confident in himself. But this is so important. Again, both of these players want to keep not only their tournament hopes alive, but that glimmer at the end of the tunnel that is the season finals and then finally BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Both of these players want it. Everybody wants it. Nobody doesn't want to go to BlizzCon. BlizzCon seems pretty cool.
You want to go to BlizzCon?
I do want to go to BlizzCon.
Yeah, BlizzCon is awesome.
BlizzCon's cool? You've been to a
Very
few,
awesome.
right?
Yeah, I've been to a few. It's very cool. So, that's what they're playing for, guys. BlizzCon, prize money, fame, this tournament itself, which is a tournament in and of itself, but it's also a qualifier to much greater portals, the Season 3 finals and BlizzCon. There's a lot at stake, but all they're thinking about right now, Belcher Vestige, PVZ, VortiX, StarDust, winning. And of course, in StarDust's case, not losing.
That's true, man. That is very true. So let's get into game number 4 in this best of 5 to see who advances on to the round of 4. VortiX is 1 map away. StarDust needs to take this map to tie the series up. Let's get into it as we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner our red Zerg, representing Mouse Sports as well as Spain. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for VortiX. And spawning up to the top left-hand corner are Blue Protoss, representing My Insanity, Korea, and Switzerland to a smaller extent. Give it up for StarDust. And a change in the wind.
Exactly. Tell me about it, Kalaris. Hit me.
It's going to be that Forge Fast expand. Or, he could go for a Nexus first.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Like,
yeah.
It's inherent. Like, either you make the Forge or the Nexus first, but yeah, it's a Forge Fast expand. So, first time in this series that he's doing this.
How do you feel about this? To throw it in now, you think?
I think it's smart.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, he dragged out a win, but he knows that game 3 was like a good build order advantage for him. He didn't scout, so we cannot call it a reaction. We can call it a mind game, but even then, you can still be wrong about what your opponent is going to do. You can have a really good idea, but it can be wrong. So you could still say he had some luck in the way that worked out, but it's luck that he had control over himself to a degree. Not full control, but he made it happen is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying he was lucky, but he had some luck. It worked out well, but he knows it wasn't like about the way that he force fielded or the transitions he did. None of that came into play. It was like a good build for the situation. It was well done, but it was just maybe a one-time thing. He can't do that now again because VortiX is going to be playing safer. Now, StarDust went for a very risky, greedy, no scout, Nexus first into Forge. And it's going to work out really well for him because VortiX is doing the very safest build possible with the spawning pool into a hatch. So if all things go normally, and VortiX doesn't throw out a quick curveball and tries to attack and do a Roach or Ling or Baneling all in, then StarDust is heading into the mid game with a slight economical advantage. And what lends itself really well to that is maybe doing some of that Immortal play or quick third play that he has been playing.
Yeah, and you know, when we saw him playing at DreamHacks and utilizing that Forge play with that 2-1 upgrades, it times out so well against what Zergs were doing previously. Now, we haven't seen too much of that style against a player like VortiX. Against a player that doesn't really go for too many upgrades, focuses a lot on units through that mid game. And I'm curious to see how this is going to play up against one another, actually.
I actually kind of played it against VortiX.
You did?
Last season.
Oh.
The first map that I lost against VortiX in the round of 8, the only map that I lost against him was where I tried to do StarDust style. And of course, I can't do it as well as StarDust. So don't put any conclusions on that.
Yeah.
But it was on Whirlwind, and I did double Forge, and I attacked, and I couldn't really do much because VortiX scouts well and makes a lot of army.
Yeah.
Now, VortiX isn't upgrade heavy. We've seen that in his game so far this series. So how does that fare against each other? Very heavy focus on upgrades from StarDust against no upgrades from VortiX. It means that VortiX will have more stuff, but StarDust makes a lot of sentries. So if he force fields well and can keep away the large part of VortX's army, it could work out very well for him. Surviving on 3 base with that would give him a tremendous mid-game advantage and would make any push extremely successful.
Cheeky little probe manages to sneak out there as that Zealot did push away that Zergling, but there's going to be another Zergling to intercept. Oh, so good about actually keeping an eye on that.
Very nice circling positioning, agree there. Now, we see the Robo coming up at 5:30. That's normal StarDust style. That looks like he might be doing his double Forge into third play.
And
he always does this too. The Zealot and Probe Scout just confirm that there really is a third.
Yeah. Having a look around, seeing what he can find. Double gas is going down for VortiX behind this. And, well, with that, he can start getting his speed out or even more transitions on. The Overlord already sees the double gas. Gives him a bit of an indication as to what's going on. He knows it's probably not some mass gateway only exclusive.
Yeah.
But aside from that, he's going to spot other things, or try to.
Yeah. So Actually,
I don't think he's... Oh, it will get there.
yeah, he's making a War Prism. This isn't going to be that double forge third play. He's making gateways and a War Prism.
All right.
So I think we might see Galaris, some sentries in a War Prism, do some token harassment, not too serious, not too committed, and then just make Immortals at home and do a 10-30 Immortal push out. So it's a two-phase attack. You try to block the ramp in the main, do some damage,
Yeah,
then you fly home with the Prism, you rejoin with your Immortals, and you do an all-in.
You rejoin, rejoice, and then try for the...
Rejoin, rejoice, yes.
Try for the second attack. Well, the Zergling's on the way in production here. The Warp Prism, he knows that
Get in there.
he knows that particular area wasn't spotted for a second, but now he's going to fly straight through an Overlord, which is a little bit of a later indication here for VortiX, but he could bring units back.
So, Mothership Core coming out, Observer coming out, and nice reaction from VortiX. Units under the Prism cannot deploy, and there comes an Immortal. And there is extra probes now. He's making extra probes. Is he macroing behind this?
Now, there was one Observer already on the way here for StarDust, and, well, I'm under the impression he will change his rally point, and actually warping into the Zealots on the low ground here whilst trying to block in some of those units. All the drones come off the line, realizing this is a bit of a scary position with the army trapped there, but now that's enough of a cleanup here for VortiX. How many workers did he lose?
7.
Ooh, that's quite good.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
That was worth it for StarDust. Now, he stopped at 48 probes. He's making 4 sentries and an Immortal. So I expect to see him adding gateways right now. There we go, 3 gateways. Maybe adding a 4th? Not right now. So he's going up to 7 with Immortals, with 48 probes, and I don't think he's going to be taking a 3rd.
VortiX is normally pretty good at holding this off.
Yes, exactly. It's his strength, really.
Yeah. There's 63 drones out, so he still has a pretty good economy, but he did have to replenish a few drones in turn. That's 7 less roaches that might be out, or just a few more Zerglings that might be out here.
Exactly, and he's got to worry about this Prism. Does he know exactly what's going to happen? It looks like he does. He's not droning, he's not teching. But this Prism is annoying to him.
Well, there's been a Zergling on that third base for the longest of times. So
unless StarDust is taking the left side there.
Which is unlikely.
So VortiX knows what's happening.
He does.
Supply blocked.
5 pylons go down to try and get him out of that supply block.
VortiX is supply blocked.
Both.
And he has 5 Overlords coming out.
Yeah, those need to come out as well here. The armor does start here for StarDust, so there is an attempt at a transition out of this, but it's going to be very difficult. That's a lot of sentries, though. That is a lot of sentries. VortiX is going to try and surround this and force out as many of these force fields as he possibly can do. All of those roaches are sealed in with these sentries. He's losing quite a few of them. Roaches coming from the back as well. Force fields go down. And one of the Immortals has to be saved by that War Prism.
He's got to recall out. He's losing way too much. VortiX with a magnificent hold.
This could be the nail in the coffin if StarDust doesn't do something quickly. Look at that army supply, 78 to 29. VortiX knows he's done very, very well in holding that.
And what do you do when your opponent wants to transition to more Immortals and Colossi?
Go for that
Spire.
Spire, man. Go for that Spire.
StarDust lost 7 sentries and an Immortal in that attack.
Resources lost is more for StarDust than it is for VortiX.
Oh my god.
When you go for that kind of attack, you do not expect that kind of thing to happen. He's going to focus down that forge. +1 armor will not finish, and this might just be it for StarDust. His run in WCS might be over as those Zerglings continue to plow on forwards with those roaches as well. There's no army left for StarDust. He pulls the probes knowing he's in a lot of trouble.
The roaches, they're coming in, they're taking down everything. Sentry's going down, the last Immortal defending. He was the best weapon against the roaches, but their kryptonite is gone. Only sentries left tickling those roaches, and all of this army is sacrificial for VortiX. He's just killing as much as he can, and it's looking like it's way enough.
And that, as much as cleaning up all of the roaches has happened, there's still a lot more roaches on the way, with 17 workers have died off. So now, if StarDust wants to pull this back, it's going to be a massive uphill struggle against 69 workers to 33.
Oh, 69 workers, and the Spire's already finished. We could see 8 Mutalisks coming out very, very soon from now. And how do you do a Phoenix transition against Mutalisks with literally, well, figuratively, no income?
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. These 2 Immortals should be able to hold strong for now. So again, StarDust has a very tall mountain to climb, as VortiX can pretty much do whatever he wants. With these Mutalisks coming out, that's his comfort zone, man. That's a lot of Zerg's comfort zone in this matchup when they find the opportunity to do it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. If you can get them and you don't die, you're going to be very comfortable indeed.
Yeah.
Well
I
said
mean,
there.
what do you have? Yes, he's getting Blink, but he has currently 1 Stalker. Not that useful.
It's going to be a very acrobatic stalker, really, but
He's the
all eyes
trapeze
are gonna
artist.
be-
He's going to have to bounce between the main and the natural.
He's like a trapeze artist who relies on his partner to catch him, but then there isn't one, and
isn't
he
a-
falls down.
Oh, well,
No.
oh, he gathered a few friends up
Okay.
in the main, so maybe that will help out. But the Mutalists, whoop, they're going to run away,
Whoa, there's some acrobatics from our observer, Funka.
seemingly so. And, well, that push at the front as well with those roaches killing off the cybernetics core. Oh, no.
Oh no. No
Oh.
more trapeze artists for StarDust.
No, it seems not. The Roach is at the front actually trying to hunt down this Colossus with those Zerglings as well, and actually is left very, very vulnerable here whilst those Mutalists go to town in the main. Good force fields there by StarDust and the Photon Overcharge. To be fair, he's handling this as well as he possibly can do right now.
Yes, those are key words, as well as he possibly can do, but he's in 2 bases against 4.
Yes.
And I don't want to say Stardust is relishing his last time in this tournament, because I don't think this is one of his favorite places to be in. Down less than half supply than the
Yeah.
opponent, but he's just playing out his tournament. Like victory for VortiX is almost 100% sure, but Stardust just wants to play this out. This is probably going to be his last game in the tournament, and he's just giving it what he has, giving it what he's got.
And that might just come to a conclusion here as those high Mutalisks as well as those Roaches just plow on through once again. And those extra Stalkers, even if he just focuses those down, it doesn't matter what he focuses down now because his army is just too big. StarDust is on the verge of going out of this tournament with VortiX going up 3-1 in this best of 5. Such an impressive series from VortiX, playing different style after different style, and there hasn't really been that many upgrades still.
A Spaniard in the semifinals. VortiX
GG.
wins 3-1.
And not only does that guarantee him a round of 4 place, but that guarantees him a spot at the season final. So congratulations to VortiX here. Moving on.
You're going to Canada, Moreno Duran. Are you gonna bring your brother? Maybe. Maybe they'll go together. Maybe not. He's a big boy now. He is a big boy. He's made a name for himself in this world. Very, very good player. We always knew he's one of the top Zergs in Europe. And now with the vacancy that Stefano has left, VortiX looks like he could claim himself to be the best Zerg in Europe right now, perhaps. Very dominant performance here. And of course, StarDust too did very well this season. Has a lot of victories this year. A lot of well played, but right now it's a little bit of a disappointment for him as he is eliminated now. Still has a chance to make it to Canada though. 5 players from the Europe region will go to Canada. He needs 2 consecutive victories tomorrow to be able to qualify for Canada. It's going to be a tall order. This was not Stardust's day. And there we go, as he realizes that he has to tap out of this game.
And these are the final moments. Like, he wasn't even typing or, playing. He knew, and there we go. There's the cheer from VortiX, knowing that this is a big deal. This is, I think, aside from his 2nd place finish at WCS 2012, WCS Europe, of course, this is his biggest tournament result so far.
Yeah, it's really, really big for him. And the story for him is not over.
No.
He will go up against the winner of MMA Nerd Show.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting one as well. VortiX is looking very, very strong this season. So we'll see if he can go even further. But for now, we're going to send it over to an interview with Mouse VortiX.
All right. Thank you, Calaris and Grubby. I'm standing here with VortiX. You just won 3-1. And I'm going to say it was a pretty one-sided series. It seemed like this series was very much so going in your favor, except for one game where you didn't expect the gateway timing. We had talked before. You had said that you weren't completely sure about what we were going to see coming out of StarDust. Mass Phoenix, fast 3rd Nexus. It looks like he was trying to catch you a little bit off guard. Was there a moment that you were worried at all during this series?
Yeah, like in every single game, I didn't know what was going on. Like first game, I saw, okay, it's just like normal Stargate opener. Then I saw more and more Phoenix coming. But I was a bit lucky that when I saw the Stargate, I was like, okay, I'm just going to mass Roach. But I think it was very good that he went for a 2nd Stargate behind that. And then it did more damage than it should have. And then I just won the game pretty easily.
Now, I was actually sitting over there with Apollo talking about your play, and he's seen and casted a lot of your games. it seems that you're kind of known for delaying things like upgrades and instead opting for a lot of that aggression you talked about in your interview. I hear you talking about how you were a little bit confused as to what you were seeing, but you kind of stuck to your game plan. Were you having doubts about your game plan, or was that just something that you went into this tournament thinking, I'm going to do this no matter what? Or did you go into it with a more open mind?
No, I had like a very fixed plan in my head for every single map coming into here. I didn't improvise anything. And basically about the upgrade thing, I tend to delay them so much because I think versus the Stargate openers, you can just win it straight away without upgrades. It's kind of a bit risky because if you don't win the game, then you are lost. But yeah, I had like a very clear idea of what I wanted to make.
Okay, very good. Now, let's talk a little bit you as a player. I know that there's been a lot of talk about whether or not, your commitment. You're either a student or a full-time player. Where do you sit right now, and what does WCS mean to you? Like, is this your tournament for the year, or do you have aspirations of something else?
Well, I don't know if I will go to any other tournament, but yeah, WCS is like the most important for me. I have been preparing for weeks just for this. And yeah, I mean, even if I'm part-time student, right now I'm spending so much time in gaming, much more than I did before. And yeah, it's paying off, it seems.
What's your major at school?
What I'm studying? Computer science.
Oh, okay, you don't need to study for that. That's fine. So of course. The last question I have for you then is that your next opponent is either going to be MMA or Nurchio. These are two players that I'm guessing you've played a lot against. Which one would you rather play against, and who do you fear the most in the tournament if it's not one of those two?
I think that in this point it's like a bit, I think it's stupid to say, I want this player or I want another one. I think everyone here has proven to be really, really good. And sometimes you think you are going to do better versus a player, and then suddenly the one you thought you would win just upsets you. So I don't know, MMA is very, very good. Nurchio is very, very good. So I don't really care. I will just try to play my best whoever I get.
All right, I really like that. So thanks a lot, VortiX. Good luck in the next round. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to shoot over to the analyst desk. It is now Apollo. Thank you very much.
Hello, and thank you in control at the analysis screen. Going to have a look at this game. But before we get into this one, I just want to say, first of all, VortiX just had his thumb on StarDust for the entire of the series. Everything he tried stopped. VortiX played this out very smartly. Every single game on top of his scouting, and the one game that he was a little bit slow and late was the game he lost, but everything else immediately stopped. And I want to look at just the last game, just to kind of emphasize how he's trying to pick up wins against StarDust. Once again, before we play, StarDust just came to me right now as he went to the bathroom and back and said, this game, because he saw me looking at it and said, this build, I've only used it a couple of times, but I was running out of options. I didn't know what to do against him because nothing was working. So let's now look into this game. So what we end up seeing here is the Warp Prism play to begin with. Double overloads at the same time from VortiX. The most crucial part as a Zerg player against an aggressive Protoss player is find out what he's doing. That's the most important part. If you can do this, you're in prime position to stop it. So he sends in double overloads. He does see the Chrono Boost into the Cyber Core, which is already kind of hinting towards something, but he doesn't know what. So if we fast forward it, both these overlords, unfortunately, don't get any information. And this just explains how good VortiX is. So he doesn't even see the robotics facility. He doesn't know if it's a bunch of gateways, if it's the Warp Prism or not. But on this right-hand side, pause it immediately here. As soon as VortiX sees the Warp Prism, with this one overlord, he is already in prime shape to stop this. So right now, all his units are waypointed up north somewhere, and as soon as he sees it, this changes. So if we play from this position, he will waypoint everything to this ramp, protecting it. He knows that a warp-in was coming to block the ramp. He's already there, fast. And then what ends up happening is it doesn't work again. He pulls drones to make sure he can push the Warp Prism away, and from this position, is already in great shape. He loses all the Zealots there. He took a couple of drone losses, but unfortunately, StarDust is already playing from behind because he's meant to do damage, meant to slow down the opponent with that. So VortiX says, all right, if you're playing from behind, let me just drone up a little bit more and prepare for the very standard follow-up from a Warp Prism attack. If it's not a third, it's going to be an attack. And if I just go over that real fast. As a Protoss player, and you're going for a Warp Prism play, you have two options as the follow-up. You either go for the Immortal push, or you use the Warp Prism aggressively and take a third. But VortiX has a Zergling on the third. He knows it's not going to be a third, so he's already expecting this. And then what ends up happening, splits the units up perfectly at the south, at the north. Bit of a mess up with control here. Don't really want to lose the Immortal too fast, which he does. And everything just kind of falls and crumbles. So he has to recall out and go home. From this position, already defended the Immortal all in. 2 attacks, 2 failures. Spire's thrown down, which is the ultimate insult, because right now he's going to lose a lot on the front door. The gas is going to start to bank itself up. And VortiX, again, just defending against everything. Just perfectly well constructed here today. And from this point on, it was an easy victory for VortiX. So congratulations to VortiX moving on as our second semi-finalist. And now, thank you for listening, and it's over to Jeff.
All right, thank you, Apollo. We're over here at the social media desk, checking all the submissions to hashtag WCS. Make sure and stay active with that if you're just now joining us. I'd like to inform you that if you send us some StarCraft 2 related fan art to that hashtag, WCS, you could be selected to win a Heart of the Swarm Collector's Edition signed by all the players and casters here. Pretty awesome. And we've kept Red Eye far away enough from it that he can't drop it, so that should be cool. I'm here with my son, Kalaris. Kalaris is going to talk a little bit about Roccat for us.
I am indeed. Roccat, obviously, our lovely sponsor here at WCS Season 3. It's a pleasure to have them along for the ride. And they've been doing a few giveaways throughout the season. We've been giving away some Cone Pure optical mice. But now they're also giving away some more stuff, which is pretty awesome. So if we can just take a quick look at this. All you have to do is go over to their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Roccat, and then leave a prediction of who you think the winner of the entire tournament is going to be in the comment below this particular post that you can see on screen now. And then Demaga, well, you can win a signed keyboard by Demaga himself. And I'm sure that we can actually hear it from the horse's mouth himself. So let's hand it over to the lovely Demaga.
No.
No?
No, not this time.
I want to show you my mouse, Rocket Cone Pure Optical. It's designed in Germany in Rocket Studio. All clicks is very smooth. Also, you have side button. You can use it in some games. Like for me, I use it for idle workers in StarCraft. We have the best sensor nowadays, Pro Optic R3, up to 4000 dpi. If you accelerate it even to 20G, it's still very precise.
And who's favored here and by how much? Who do you think?
I mean, these two players, they're so good, and especially within their respective matchups they're playing. They're so equal, especially when you look at the ranking system as well. But I have to favor the Spaniard here. And the reason for that is because StarDust started and has really had a good 2013. He hit it hard when he won DreamHack Summer. But, he's been very consistent, but his style is out there. Everybody knows how he plays. VortiX is smart. VortiX is going to approach this series with one mindset: scout what he's doing, defend it, and get in a good position. And that kind of style and mindset coming into this series, it clearly is going to favor VortiX.
Yeah, absolutely. VortiX does have the advantage of knowing that he's probably, he calls himself a cheesy player, does StarDust, but it's we commentators call it aggressive. He's an aggressive, micro-oriented player. I actually asked VortiX before the series what he thought about playing StarDust, and I asked if he's played against him any number of times. And he said that, of course, he's hit him a few times in the ladder, but one thing he's noticed about StarDust is that what StarDust does kind of outside of a tournament, what he does inside of a tournament, to your point, it's similar, but it usually has a little bit of a different flavor. So every time I see this guy, StarDust, enter into a tournament, I have to wonder, what does he have prepared? A lot of people are very quick. I know that Nerchio kind of was famous for saying to him, like, all you do is 8-gate, why do you even play? But he puts his own little flavor on it going into tournaments. We saw those Immortal all-ins, those double forge play that he did against Jaedong at DreamHack. It's kind of tough to prepare for.
So even though we know his style and VortiX will as well, what specifics are we going to see from him, right? Which is the big point. And that's why scouting and information is going to be crucial for VortiX in this series.
So VortiX is going to have to get that information. But ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and introduce those commentators for today's series. It's going to be Kalaris and Grubby.
Thanks very much, guys. Welcome to the Caster's Desk with myself And Mr. Grubby, how are you doing so far, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not too bad. We had a quick series, but now I'm anticipating a little longer one here between VortiX and StarDust. Again, I said at the previous one, I can't call it either way, and it kind of went a very, very strong way. But this one, again, can't really call too easily.
And we don't have to. The players will call it for us. They've got a lot of stuff prepared here. They're thinking about their map vetoes right now. Maybe they planned it out before. Maybe they're doing it on the spot. Gonna wait and see what maps they're going to be removing. Just one for each, of course, because it is a best of 5. Although you wouldn't say it from the first series length.
No, that was pretty rapid. We weren't expecting it to be that quick. But Aklon Waste goes away first for VortiX. Doesn't want to allow his opponent StarDust to go into, a bit of a longer game, a bit safer. And then Polar Knight is removed from StarDust. I'm really not too surprised by that veto, actually.
Yeah, it's probably the 2 most standard removals for each race. Zerg, I don't think they even need to think about it. Aklon Waste, bye.
Yeah.
It's the most removed map for Zerg in Season 3 of Europe.
For Zergs.
Yeah.
It's because that's interesting actually that you mentioned that, because in terms of pushing into Ultralisks, of course, though, if he can survive what his opponent's predicting to throw at him.
Yeah, exactly. And surviving can be pretty easy for Zerg on 3 bases, but as soon as they have to get out there on the map and get to the 4th base, it can get a little bit more difficult because the 4th base is further away. So a good harassment and multitasking by Protoss can make it difficult for the Zerg, but the Protoss' problems, they come a little sooner. The 3rd base can be a bit difficult, but it really depends a lot on the styles.
Yeah, and again, VortiX has been changing things up quite a lot during this season alone, never mind other seasons. Interestingly enough, currently VortiX is the only player to not drop a single map in Season 3 here of WCS Europe, which is a very impressive run when you consider the players he's been going up against in the form of, in the round of 16, Baby Knight and Thorzane. So, but StarDust, he'll be his tallest challenge yet, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I was saying last week, VortiX didn't have anyone who seriously challenged him yet. Those statistics, of course, they're one thing, but also like none of these games were difficult. I think now it'll be difficult.
Yeah. This is the challenge. This is the challenge. Can VortiX rise to it? As we have VortiX and StarDust facing off in a second best of 5 of today. And oh boy, is it going to be a good one. As we have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner are Red Zerg, representing Mouse and Spain. Give it up for VortiX. And up to the top right-hand corner here are Blue Protoss, representing My Insanity as well as Korea. Give it up for StarDust. There was a really excited yelp there from someone. That was pretty cool.
I feel that excited too, but it wouldn't be professional if I let out a yelp like that now.
Probably not, no.
But
sorry.
I want to.
You want to?
No, I won't.
Oh, okay.
All right, abstain. So, the first decisions have been made by both players. And for VortiX, it's a decision not to go for a 6 or a 10 pool. And for StarDust, it's going to be very likely a gateway expansion.
I like the option of a gateway expansion here because VortiX is the kind of guy that, as you just previously mentioned, can sometimes go for earlier pulls just to be like, well, I'm going to throw this in and see how you're going to react to it. And if that were to occur, gateway opening, not too bad against that.
Yeah. VortiX did do a little bit of that 10 pool, 10 gas build before, where you get very early speed upgrade for your Zerglings. Finishes just before the 5-minute mark, and you try to swarm the opponent with lots of Zerglings. But it's a risky build, and you don't generally want to start off with that in the first game, because everyone is still very awake. They're very alert. People are going to be scouting. They're going to be, seeing what you're doing. They want to get a feel of what you're doing. So actually, StarDust is not scouting yet and not building anything at the ramp, so that could be a potent...
Say always very thank you, and then please keep cheering for all of the player, especially me.
StarDust? Yeah, sure. That guy has a really special personality. He's a fantastic player to back it up. I'm happy that they showed so many of the games from his series against Happy. You guys commentated it, but that was one of the closest matches I think I've ever seen.
That's the only tie that's ever happened in the World Championship Series, right? It was a remarkable game, but what a brilliant interview. I really like that one.
He always does. I also host for DreamHack, and there's a couple times where it's really hard, because sometimes you ask questions that are maybe a little bit awkward, maybe a little bit lame, and they just kind of go, narrow, and then they look at you like, ah! Like you don't know what to say, but StarDust always has something really cool, funny, and oftentimes informative to say. So that was StarDust. His opponent is going to be a Spaniard. It's one of the brothers. It is VortiX.
I'm Juan Moreno Duran, better known as VortiX, a StarCraft 2 player from Team Mouse Sports. I'm 20 years old and I play StarCraft.
Those Zealots don't want to be out there in the open, and they will absolutely get destroyed, hammered down. And here comes the army. 2 upgrades not even completed yet, but Ultralisk chewing away onto these armies. All the units that Protoss have are +3, but the sheer amount of units, the quality that they are going to be too good. And VortiX will pick up map number 1 here against Baby Knights.
Well, I have like a very big family. Like we are 3 brothers, and we were like very competitive between us. Like we would play anything, like chess or whatever, every game you can imagine of. I kind of got into Warcraft 3 because my eldest brother had played a bit, and I remembered when I was little, I watched some games and I thought, oh, it was a funny game. So yeah, when I quitted World of Warcraft, me and my brother Lucifer started playing Warcraft 3. And that's how I got into pro gaming. I started playing tournaments in Spain, and from there I started to go better and better.
Oh, the puck is gone. That's bad. That's really bad. That Marauder falls very, very quickly, as do the Marines. There's really not that many units out here for Thorzen. VortiX, there you go. Yeah. GG.
My brother was like 2 years older than me. And then when I was like, oh, I probably will never be as good as him, I was like, hey, I'm 2 years behind. So, it did never stop me. Actually, it was like a motivation to see that he was doing very good. And I was like, I can do it too.
The Bailings break the bunker, and VortiX is in.
Really good control by VortiX. He pulled those back. There you go. GG.
I'm a very impatient player. Like, I always try to attack all the time, and it's not that I don't feel confident in long games, but I don't know why I've always been impatient in my life, and I try to go for the kill all the time. So yeah, I think that's the biggest trait in my gameplay.
All right, and there you have it. It's going to be StarDust versus VortiX. I'm going to start us off by putting you right on the line. You're a pretty smart guy. People think you're one of the smartest commentators, whatever that means, if you know what I mean. Give us a little bit of a breakdown. All right. As you can see, it's never too early to drink in Germany. We're really excited to have you guys here. Thank you for coming, audience. Awesome. All right. Well, let's take a look at our next best of 5 with that bracket. Go ahead and tug it up there. It's going to be StarDust against VortiX. This should be a fantastic PvZ. StarDust, a DreamHack champion. Coming here in the ESL. I know he's also had a tough run, or not ESL, excuse me, WCS. He's had a tough run as well, kind of like Genius, or not Genius, but Duck before him. And now here he is established as well. So it should be really good. And VortiX, one of the Duran brothers, trying to make a stand here as well.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a really good series, I think, because StarDust is known for being a Korean killer. I mean, he started that name beating the likes of Violet, Jaedong, all those guys at DreamHack when he first won his big tournament. And since then, he's always been known for his aggressive playstyle, which I'm pretty sure we're going to see today. But VortiX, on the other hand, is pegged by a lot of other professional players in the European scene as a secret favorite to win the entire thing, because he is really playing some of the best StarCraft we've ever seen from him.
So like Grubby and I said before, this should be another really close series. We're looking forward to it. We put together a video to talk about each of these players. The first one up is StarDust.
My name is Sunsoki. I'm from South America. What? Hi, my name is Sunsoki. I'm from South Korea. Now I'm living in Switzerland. And then I'm 23 years old.
Oh, he's actually just going to go for a trade here, kill off wherever he can. If he kills off the anti-air, the Banshee actually goes down though.
I want to not losing. Just some people think I want to win, but I want don't losing, because that means win. But sometimes tie, like today. But so I don't want to losing, so I just play very safety, sometimes cheating. I have many things about the prize money, but most important thing is my family. So I want to using a lot of money for my family, and then some money for my life.
He's getting zealous on his third base now. There's going to be a couple of EMPs from the high ground here to maybe save us something, but he doesn't even try. GG. StarDust turns it around.
I want to
Map popularity, you see a lot of Akelon wastes.
Yeah.
But just not from Zerg.
Not from Zerg.
They're like,
Zerg's not welcome here.
No, it's
They're
big.
invited, but they don't want to come.
No,
they
they
got
don't.
other engagements.
They do. They would rather be elsewhere. They'd rather be Belshire Vestige, the party's over there.
Oh, yeah.
Or even
I heard a lot
Frost.
about Belshire Vestige parties.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Frost? I don't know. Little chilly reception.
Oh, I knew you were going to do that somehow. But anyway, best of 5 now goes between these two guys. And these guys, in my opinion, have very clashing styles. They've already spoken about it, Jeff and Sean, as to what we see from StarDust. But a player here in the form of VortiX, he likes to be able to, you know, go very upgrade-less, get a nice big army, maybe hold on for a bit, depending on what his opponent's doing, and react to his opponent's stance there.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about VortiX's style. Do you see VortiX as an aggressive player or a defensive player in the ZVP matchup?
It's interesting because I see him as an aggressive player when he wants to be. I know this is like the cop-out answer, but it's because he reacts so well to what his opponent's doing. It's like if the 2 bases come in, all right, he will sit back and just chill out. But if he sees that his opponent's trying to get that 3rd base, it's all guns-ho to try and deny it and do some damage there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm a little bit divided on VortiX too, because basically he is an aggressive player. Back in Wings of Liberty, when everyone was massing up Infestors and Broodlords, the Slivko style, at least here in Europe, was defend, defend, defend. Spinecrawler, Spore, get 30 Broodlords. VortiX was the guy that also, of course, used the best composition of Infestors and Broodlords. But as soon as he had 8 Broodlords, he attacked. And that set him so far apart from most of the other protagonists of the Zerg race. And I mean, if you do that with Infestor Broodlord, which is best camping, then if you have Roaches and Hydras, of course, you're also going to attack with that.
Yeah.
But then you've got the other side. He is very good at defending all-ins.
He really is. And we saw that in the round of 16. We saw that. But now we do have our second player in this series, StarDust. Those win ratios are pretty good. And in comparison to a player like Genius, who has a very small sample size of games, StarDust, across all of the DreamHacks he's been attending, has been just dominating every single performance there. And those win ratios certainly reflect that.
Yeah, and he's kind of like holy trifecta of Protoss. He started in Korea with Brood War, then he switched to StarCraft 2, moved to US for a while, now he's living in Europe. So if we're talking about fusion and cooking, I would say he's a fusion Protoss in StarCraft 2 playing. He knows all the different styles, and he has both very good mechanics, and he's very creative.
He really is. Our first map here will be Derelict Watcher. This, in my opinion, is a little bit of a tough one to see StarDust start on. VortiX is very, very well versed on this map. Not only going through the mid game with, you know, something like he can play both styles. He can go, you know, the Roach Hydra with ranged style, but he can also, something that he does like on this map, going for the Zergling heavy melee style, and then eventually switch